We have spoken that, oh, Bhakti Yoga is the best process that helps us to change the inclination and everything. But how does that actually happen? How is that? How does a devotee do all these, overcome all these urges? Because we have seen karmis do it separately, Gyanis do it in a different way, but the bhakti is the best process. But how actually you do it? So that is what is going to be this discussion here. And Vachuvegam, the urge to speak. We all know the problem that Srila Prabhupada also mentions here in the purport is the tendency to talk materialistic topics and also the impersonalistic Mayavadi philosophy. So this is the problem, that the urge to speak for the sake of speaking. And the solution is not to just keep silence, is not just to stop speaking, but Srila Prabhupada says the real solution is to actually start speaking about Krishna. And in the Anuvriti commentary, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we will see later, he says, the fruit of practicing control of speech is one's desire to speak Krishna, about Krishna. If someone actually performs Krishna Katha properly and practices not speaking anything mundane, if this combination is done very nicely, then his desire to speak about Krishna will increase. So, to that extent, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur will not eat anywhere if he is not allowed to speak enough about Krishna. If you invite him to your place to give a katha, and if you won't actually give him enough time to speak about Krishna, then he will not eat at your place, and he will just leave. And he says this is the fruit of practicing, like not speaking nonsense, because he wants to speak and he doesn't want to speak nonsense. So what will he do? He has to speak about Krishna, and he wants to speak. The more he speaks about Krishna, he gets addicted speaking about Krishna, so he wants to speak more and more. So when a person doesn't give him enough chance to speak about Krishna, he says, no, I'm not going there and I'm not eating anything here, because there is no, what is the purpose? Because I can't speak about Krishna, I'm so addicted to speaking about Krishna. So he says the best way of Vacho Vegam, someone performs Vacho Vegam, is that he has such an interest to speak about Krishna that he just wants to speak about Krishna. So there is no control there is no silence there, and there is no limit there. You can 24 hours you can speak about Krishna if you have the energy. So that is the real fruit of tolerating the urges to speak something nonsense. So this is how he concludes, and I think this is pretty straightforward to understand. So engaging in non-conscious topics is the problem, and we control it by speaking about Krishna. Next urge, it says Mano Vegam. Actually, it's very interesting to note in this particular translation. The most of the other things also come from mind. Mind in itself is like a big category. Anger comes from mind, lust comes from mind, the urge to speak also comes from mind, because the senses are all controlled by the mind. Mind is the leader of all the senses, but still mind is given a certain separate space, and the other ones are given separate space, because there is, of course, by controlling the mind, most of the other things are also controlled. Still, there are certain details in terms of controlling the other senses also. That's why they are all given separate categories. Still, mind is a very powerful category. Just by controlling this one, just by addressing this one, many things can also change. So the problem here is the restlessness of the mind, the fickleness. It keeps changing, and it easily gets agitated by Maya's influence. Rather, it acts as the most important ambassador for Maya in our consciousness. So, and the not a solution. What is not a solution for this is just creating a vacuum, or negating all the thoughts. That may not be the right solution. The Krishna conscious solution for dealing with mind is to actually, this particular verse from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita says, wherever there is sun, there is no darkness. So if the mind is fickle, if the mind is being agitated by material consciousness, Maya, then bringing there Krishna will help. Krishna Surya Sama Maya hai andhakar, yaha Krishna taha nahi Maya radhikar. So the solution is to fix mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, to think of Krishna and how to serve Krishna best. So the solution can sound very lofty, but there is no alternative to it. But there can be stages of improvement in it. We can gradually try to do it by like in an incremental way. And the next urge is the anger, when the mind desire is unfulfilled, then it becomes anger. And the problem is uncontrolled anger. Srila Prabhupada says anger cannot be completely given up, but it can be controlled. And controlled anger could be useful. The solution Prabhupada uses here is apply against blasphemers, but the examples he gives can clarify that it's not for every one of us. It's not that we go around, pick up blasphemers, and then we become angry on them. That is not the right way. There is a context in understanding that. Here, Srila Prabhupada gives how Lord Chaitanya attacked Jagai and Madai, or Hanumanji kept set the whole Lanka on fire, or Arjuna killed so many people in the battlefield. So here, all anger is utilized in the Krishna service, but if you see in all these situations, it's either the Supreme Lord personally, or they are directly under the mission of the Lord or the guidance of the Lord. So we cannot always say that very confidently from our heart that we are like that Arjuna or Hanumanji and we can just go around becoming angry at people. Rather, like we also know Nityanand Prabhu would take like a straw in his between his teeth, and he would offer obeisances to people and knock their door and then say he would beg, please chant Krishna, you are a great person, you are actually an amazing person. Why don't you just add one thing to your life, which is the Krishna? So just chant name of Krishna, just sing the name of Krishna. So Bhajo Krishna, Lava Krishna. So there are both these understandings. So this anger aspect has to be performed with, like, applied with maturity and guidance. It's not that I just go around take out all my anger. A person whose anger can be controlled means his lust also needs to be controlled first, because the one of the names of anger is Kamanuja, the younger brother of lust. Anger is an younger brother of the desire or lust. So like how there is Ramanuja, likewise anger is called as Kamanuja. This is the younger brother of lust. If there is no lust, there will be no selfish anger also. So that is the understanding of applying it on blasphemers, because there is, it's not on one's own. If somebody insults the devotee, he does not care. If another devotee is insulted, so then he acts on it. That's the principle. But how does he do that, and when to do that? That needs guidance. It's not that like someone, we go on a train, another person actually does something to the devotee, we attack that person or we murder the person. It's may not be always warranted. So all these kind of crazy things have happened when the things are not rightly understood. Still, the main understanding is we control our lust, then we will also be not passionately dragged down by the anger. We will know when to apply it, how much to apply it. The best example would be how a mother applies anger to controlled anger towards their child. Sometimes we can become uncontrollably angry also, but a matured mother, she knows she is not generally angry, but when a child actually repeatedly does some mistake, then she shows a false anger just to control the child. So there she is not controlled by anger or used by anger, rather she uses anger to achieve a certain purpose. So similarly, if we control anger, then we will be able to use it. We will know when to use it instead of being end up used by the anger. Like in a, what do you call, like in a helpless way, we sometimes end up being used by the anger. Instead, if we control it, it is like my pen, so I know when to pick it up and when to use it. So we have to come to that stage, and the best way that is to first control our desires in Krishna service. If all our desires are Krishna conscious, then our anger also will also be applied properly. So I hope that answers the topic. Any questions on that? Okay. So the Jiva Vegam is like a very interesting problem, which is like a widespread topic. So it's an indiscriminate and unrestricted eating, because you can see how our lust and greed actually manifest when food comes before sometimes. Uh, at least I can speak for myself. So the solution is to only take Krishna Prasadam, but the understanding is, oh, I can take Krishna Prasadam throughout the day, anytime I want. No, then Srila Prabhupada says scheduled times. So to control the tongue, now the regulation in eating is helpful. So here regulation is brought in. To only eating Krishna Prasad itself is a big deal, but eating it on regulated schedule and scheduled times is also a key. Not just prasad, but also regulated times. When it comes to belly, which is the overeating, quantity is the problem. The tongue wants the taste. It wants very tasty food, but the belly wants quantity of food. One is a quality problem, the other one is a quantity problem. So the problem with the belly is it wants to fill even after fill like full you like desire to eat more. So the solution is again only Krishna Prasad for sure, but regulated quantity also, not just the times. Quantity also is regulated. So both needs to be followed in order to control this. Okay. The upastha vegam is the urges of the genitals, and the problem is the unrestricted and the illicit desires. And the solution is if somebody is a householder or somebody is wanting to be a householder, the solution is to become married and having sex for the sake of kids. Or if somebody is a renunciant, actually foregoing that urge is the only solution. So this is what is prescribed. So there are various ways of tapasya, the yogic tapasya or the pancharatrik tapasya. Pancharatrik tapasya is devotional way. So when one is fully practiced in the methods of Krishna conscious sense control, then he can be qualified to be a bona fide spiritual master. I'm going to rush a little bit because the same concepts we are going to see through the lens of